Um, yes, I've started recording. So great to be back with all of you again. So we will be just carrying on the last few weeks. So we started with some basic and foundational knowledge about marketing, and we looked into the STP concept. We looked into the strategy concept, some other core concepts. So our today's focus is all about branding and how branding could help promote business growth. In order to understand what branding is, we will delve right into the definitions of branding and the associated concept, and then we'll be talking about some brand strategies, like what strategies could actually help brands to or organizations to build their brands. I'll start sharing my screen now. Okay, so here we are. Branding and core business growth. So I'll try to use very relatable example so that we all are familiar. So obviously in the picture, we see our Saqib Al Hasan, one of the legends, one of the cricket legends. And the image actually does represent that how branding has transitioned from what it used to be, and it has transitioned into more of an endorsement of a thing. So what is branding? Let's just try to formally try to define branding, and then we'll try to understand all the other various aspects of it. So very simple definition of branding is the use of a name, a design, a symbol, or a combination of those elements that a sports organization uses to help differentiate its products from its competition. So as I'm using the brand of Adidas, right? That's the branding if we are thinking about sporting arena. Since I started with Saqib Al Hasan, so I'm just giving you examples of branding in the sporting arena. Well, we can actually use this more as a generic. Right, I'm gonna have to mute some people. So if you are not speaking, I would request you just keep your microphone on mute so that there's no disruption. And there's more people waiting on the queue, including our own Saqib Al Hasan that is in our class. Okay, so I'm letting everyone into the class now. All right. So Adidas, for instance, how they use branding. The use of a name, design, symbol, or combination of those elements that a sports organization uses to help differentiate its products from the competition. All right. So now, if we just cross this word sports and then just keep it blank, it's going to be same, whether it's okay. Looks like I'm facing a bit of internet issue as well, so I'll just switch to okay, sorry. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Sorry. Hopefully there'll be no more disruption. So yeah. So branding is simply the use of a name, a design, a symbol, or combination of those things that altogether makes an organization. And this actually helps an organization to differentiate itself. For instance, we see in the image the logo of Adidas. So Adidas, they have been using their logo, and this image is actually represents the brand. So whenever we see this, we can easily identify that's Adidas. And along with that brand, these days, organizations are increasingly use celebrities and sporting figures and personalities to represent their band. So it is becoming an integral part of branding that we associate certain brand with certain people. And that also creates a separate identity. So that we will try to delve into more. So branding efforts often include the use of slogan, brand mark, a logo, a trademark, or graphics. So when it comes to branding, these are the things that are included. It's a slogan, it could be a brand mark, it could be a specific logo, a trademark, or some specific graphics. So this is what encompasses the concept of branding. So what's a slogan? Okay, so slogans are like short, memorable catchphrases used in advertising campaigns designed to create product affiliations among consumers. Can someone give me examples of any slogan?
McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Yes, yeah, very popular one.
Like the Southeast Bank, a vision with performance.
Yes.
Pathao, moving Bangladesh.
Yeah, moving Bangladesh. What's Apple's slogan? Think different. I think that's their slogan that they have been using. LG, life's good. So different brands, they would use some short and memorable catchphrases that's used in advertising. That is become a brand identification. Pocha Bolchaban, name noy gune porichoy in Bangladesh, right? So there's lots of brands. Some brands, they use slogan. It's not essential or it's not mandatory that you have to use a slogan, but some brands, they use slogan. And some brands, they use specific trademark as well, like a sign or symbol that legally identifies ownership of a registered brand or trade name. Like whenever we see this swoosh, that's what Nike calls. We know that this is a trademark. No other brand in the world is going to use this, like, trademark. So this, they have trademark, made this as a trademark for them. So this is what another aspect. And there could be some specific graphics as well. We have seen lots of, I do have, actually, I'm gonna jump right into a slide where I had top brands in the world. So this is a list of some of the top brands in the world, right? In the world, these are some of the top brands in the world, national, international, but some of them, they have changed and updated their branding or logo a little bit, but these are some examples of some reputed brands. So you can see that some of them, like Google, they don't have any sign or symbol. The letters itself is their logo. IBM, they don't have any specific, like, sign or symbol or graphics. Similarly, some brands, they just use, whereas Apple, perhaps this is the simplest yet the most profound or the most popular brand in the world. And it has won lots of prizes as well. I think we've already talked about this one before, haven't we? Like what's the rationale of Apple's brand? Have we discussed this one before in our class? Or can someone tell me, like, what does this refers to? Like, anyone? Like how unique is this thinking? Like, they are a computer or a technology oriented brand, right? I mean, they sell computer and technology and everything, whereas the name is Apple, and the logo is exceedingly simple, yet it's so profound when it comes to its appeal, when it comes to its image. And perhaps this is nowadays, this could be undoubtedly regarded as the most expensive brand in the world. So if we were to probably analyze this one a little bit, I would like to just probably ask you, like, what do you think? What is this logo stands for?
Like the apple that fell on Newton's head, like something related to like knowledge, as it says in their slogan, think different. Like it could
Yeah,
be some,
there's okay, that's a good one. Thanks for that. So this has been discussed as the thinking behind this logo, that the beginning of human race or the human civilization started from an apple. Like an apple fell over the head of someone, and that's where the civilization started, because everything was at the beginning when the law of gravity was something that was discovered by Newton. So the apple is a symbol of that. Apple could also be related with the symbol of humanity, like Adam and Eve during that era when although it's not like if we in Islam we know that that's a different fruit, but in the Bible it comes as if like the fruit was apple. Adam and Eve, they ate an apple. So that was also the beginning of the human race and civilization. So this was probably some of the underpinning or the embedded thinking behind the person who actually designed this logo. But this is an example. So these are different examples as we were discussing, that a branding could be a name, a slogan, a text, a graphics. So these are all different examples. So we are going to talk about the characteristics of brand. Like, what are the key characteristics of brand, or the key characteristics of a successful brand? Let's try to analyze this. It's a positive, distinctive, and generate positive feelings and association. So whatever the branding is, it actually creates a positive, distinctive, the word, I hope we all understand that it could be easily distinguished from one to another. And it generates a positive feelings, and we can also associate this with something. So when we look at the brand, we can actually associate this with its image. However, as we said, like some brands, they have been exceedingly unconventional, like Apple, where there's no association, yet it does not generate any specific positive feelings. But still, we can consider this as one of the greatest brands of all times. Another feature or characteristics of brand is that there should be easy to remember and pronounce. So whatever the brand is, it should be easy to remember. The logo or the brand or the slogan, it should be easy to remember, and the pronunciation should also be easy. If the pronunciation or something that is way complicated for consumers, then that is definitely not going to be very helpful, and it will not create that lasting impact into consumers' mind. Logo should be easily recognizable as well. Whatever logo you create, you should be easily recognize the logo from the other ones. Because these days, we know that there's lots of Me Too type brand. They're trying to replicate each other. So you have to create something that consumers can easily recognize. It implies the benefits the sports product delivers. Like this slide was used for, especially for sports branding. So that's why you might see the term sports repeatedly, and a lot of the examples were taken from sports. Implies the benefits of the product delivers. Again, whatever your brand is, it should immediately show that there's some immediate benefit from the product delivers. Again, this is not always the case. There's lots of brands where it's not the case. You cannot immediately derive any benefit from Apple, but still it should be something, it would tell you what it is. Consistent with the image of the rest of the product lines, organization, and or city. So there should be some consistency. If you have a group of products under your belt, so if your organization or the umbrella that you have, and you have a number of products, then there should be a similarity or some coherence from one to another. For instance, Virgin, we know, is a popular brand. So when it comes to like Virgin Airlines, Virgin Music, Virgin, hospitality, or Virgin this and that. So there should be that similarity from one to another one. And legally and ethically permissible as well. So before you go to select any brand or select any name or trademark, it's absolutely essential that you have to very thoroughly check and verify whether that name is actually a trademark or not. Otherwise, you will get into trouble. And we see this in the world. There's lots of brands. They did not use these guidelines. Okay, we have a question. Go ahead.
Sir, I don't have a question. I need your permission, sir.
Yes, you have my permission. Go ahead.
I have an appointment with my doctor, so can I join after 30 or 40 minutes later?
Yes, but how will that be possible? Like, are you, like you're going now, and would you be able to come back within 30-40 minutes?
Yes, sir. It's near my home.
Okay, all right. Yeah, fine. I mean, we will have the session recorded as well. So yeah, you wouldn't miss too much. But yeah, good luck with the doctor's appointment. It's fine.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, that's all right. Okay, so as I was saying that there could be lot of the time we see that there's some violation because it should be legally and ethically permissible. So I was just trying to recall that there's this brand called Land Rover we have heard, but there was this Chinese brand which came up with almost the same model of this one. All right. So this one became like, an epic case when Range Rover, they actually sued this brand for violating their brand guideline because the model that they brought was almost the same, like, the identity and the look and everything was the same. iPad that we use today had also been sued by one of the Chinese brands which actually claim that they're the one who first started, or they had their device called iPad. They were the one who first started this. So brands often they get into this war that whether there's violation, one is violating the branding guideline, one is not following the trademark policies or principles, even the use of color as well. These are all become like, these are all cases. I think I had something in my slide here again. Yeah. Sorry. Equally, I'm just.
Sir, we have like Adidas, we have Abibas, Adis, Adidas.
No, that's right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yes, there's lots of examples we see where brands are not following the guidelines and they violate. So it's really important that it is legally and ethically it's permissible. Like what are you using as your brand? So we'll be talking about some strategies as well. But before going to that, let's understand some other associated concept. Brand awareness, brand image, brand equity, and brand loyalty. These are some other associated concepts we're going to understand. So let's talk about brand awareness. Oh, and as you can see, can you guys see? There's a little thing that just jumped on my shoulder,
Yes, sir.
which he always does. This thing. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anyway, intruder alert. I like, this, she always just like sits on my feet, and then sometimes it will just climb up on my shoulder. So anyway, brand awareness. Let's talk about brand awareness. So brand awareness is the process of working toward maximizing recognition of a particular brand. So in order to promote your brand, first you need to build that brand awareness. So brand awareness is simply making people aware of the brand itself, so that everyone will recognize your brand and everyone will understand your brand. Now, why brand awareness is important, that we will know when we will know about brand equity. But let me just give you images, like, when, like, comic book fans, like, associated comics with Marvel because the brand awareness. Because Marvel has such a strong brand, and that's why Walt Disney, when Walt Disney used to be like they just used to make movies and cartoons, but Marvel became, when they came to the understanding that Marvel is such a popular comic brand, they bought the Marvel franchisee for $4 billion. Just the Marvel name, that they will be able to use the Marvel as a brand, and then they will be able to create movies. So when you're able to create a brand awareness as popular as Marvel, then it's easy that you can sell that to other brands or other organization in exchange of a price as much as like a fortune, which is this case. Brand image is another factor. So image refers to consumer perception linked to a particular brand, such as health, excitement, fun, or family. All right. So whenever we see this brand, Disney, Walt Disney, what comes into our mind?
There is some fun, excitement.
Yes. The immediate reaction that we had, or the image that we have created with this brand, Disney means this is going to be some family and fun, entertaining movies. That's what the image is. So we tend to create, or brands, they tend to create that particular association. Some brands, they actually show some excitement. Some brands, they display some particular image. Let me just use some more example. Yeah, I was working on my slide, and then some family issues came up. That's why I wasn't able to use some of these examples. But the reason I wanted to use some of these examples is some brands, they have created their identity, and that has become their identification. For instance, when we see this brand, who can tell me which is this brand? These are actually two brands joined together.
Sir, Under Armour and Buffalo.
Yeah, that's right, Under Armour. But Under Armour has partnered with none other than Mr. Dwayne the Johnson. Okay, so since then, the brand image of Under Armour has entirely changed. Nowadays, Under Armour is seen as a brand for masculinity. Under Armour is seen as a brand of performance. Under Armour is seen as a brand of strength, something like that. So the association of particular person or particular character builds that imagery behind your brand. Whenever you use someone very stylish and fashionable, like you use Kim Kardashian in your brand, that gives an exotic or like something glamorous. When you use a sports person like Tiger Woods or David Beckham or someone like that, when you use a Hollywood celebrity or a movie star or a Bollywood celebrity, that gives a different flavor. Even like simplest brand, but when people actually if you could get a big shot endorse your brand, that automatically gives that imagery to your brand. Looks like Robil lost power, right, Robil?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. My only I can share my sympathy with you anyway. So let's understand the concept of brand equity. Okay, so brand equity is the value placed on a brand by consumers. Okay, so when you can create a strong brand image, then what you build is called a brand equity. Okay, so brand equity is the value placed on a brand by consumers. For example, Nike has strong brand equity because consumers have long associated the brand with top quality athletes and quality products. Sometimes we wonder that Nike, for simple sports stars, whether it's tennis, whether it's in football, whether it's in other sports, Nike, they endorses some of the players for millions of dollars. For instance, I think the Williams sister in lawn tennis, Nike, not only sponsors them, but they provide them millions of dollars and just for being their brand ambassador. And what it does, it creates that strong brand value or brand equity. So I hope we all understand the concept of equity. Equity is our net gain of something, whether it's our financial equity, whether it's our social equity, it's the net gain of any particular area. So brand can also bring together or accumulate their equity, and that is only possible when you can create that strong brand image. That is the concept of brand equity. So we'll try to understand brand equity concept a little more. We do have some models that I'm going to go through. Brand loyalty. Let me just go through the concept of brand loyalty. So we all understand that brand loyalty is a consumer preference for a particular brand as compared to competitor products or services. So when consumers build that preference for our brand over any other brand, that is what the brand loyalty is. So 4 concepts. First, you create your brand awareness, then you create your brand image, then that builds your brand equity, and then you want to create your brand loyalty. These are the important things, and they're all interlinked with each other, because unless you create a strong brand awareness, you cannot create a brand image. And if you don't have a brand image, then you don't have any brand equity. If you don't have any brand equity, no one's going to be loyal to your brand. So these concepts are linked with one another. All right. So hopefully, just again, taking back you to that slide again, that these are the concepts that we will be referring to. So for your other assessments and everything, keep this concept in mind, brand building. So when it comes to building a brand, these are the 4 things you need to keep in mind. Build awareness, image, equity, and that leads to loyalty. So in order to understand brand equity, now let's go through some models. All right. So these are some alternative models. So one popular advertising agency, they actually came up with some equity models. So I'm going to just analyze this model a little bit so that we understand this one a bit better. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, so it's my 8.1. Okay, so the first one, in order to understand brand equity, let's just analyze this model called, this is called brand asset valuator model. Okay, so when it comes to your brand's equity, it is actually your asset. Okay, and different types of brand can create different type of asset. Okay, and there are 4 pillars, as you can see. For instance, strong and new brands. Okay, so when you have a brand which is strong and new, you can have an energized differentiation. The brand's point of difference relates to margins and cultural currency. So strong brand, which are like, very strong, like a brand like Nike, and they demonstrate something which is energized and it shows the strength of the brand, which is you can easily relate. But there's some other brands where there's not enough strength when it comes to the brand itself. All right. So what we're looking at is that how do you value brand? And it starts with the strongest brand. Apple could also be one of the brand, which we can put into that far left end, which says that the brand's point of difference relates to margins and cultural currency. So there's a strong brand identity, and you can easily differentiate that. And that provides the brand's strength and value. But some brands, they may not have that strength when it comes to their equity. And they could fall under the other 2 categories. As you can see, they provide, yes, they're holding your brand, but they are not that strong when it comes to the brand equity. So this is like an evaluation model, and you can see the value is like declining from the far left hand, which is on the top. And this is the strongest of the brand, which is very energized, but slowly it just sort of declines. So declining brands show high knowledge, a lower level of esteem, and even lower relevance and energized differentiation. So the other 2 that you can see, for instance, esteem is how you regard the brand. It relates to perception of quality and loyalty. Yes, that's a quality brand, but it's not the strongest when it comes to the brand's equity. Knowledge as an intimate understanding of the brands relates to awareness and consumer experience, but yet it's not as strong as the other 2. So we may put, this is like the ideal space where brands want to go, because the other 2, they're there. Like it does provide, like one, it does provide you knowledge about the brand, you know about the brand. The other one, yes, there is a bit of esteem into that, but you may not be able to bring that immediate association. Now let's consider the automobile industry. Okay, so if we consider in the automobile industry, we know there's some brands of car. They're like, yeah, okay, they are good car. We know they're like moderate, like, Proton or Kia, some other brands. Again, it may vary country to country, but in the Western world, like, Toyota, these brands are, yes, we know about this brand. It does provide you enough knowledge, There is a bit of esteem, but there's not that energized differentiation compared to like Mercedes-Benz or BMW or Ferrari, where you can easily associate this brand and there is a strong equity in these brands. And of course, there's that you can easily differentiate this brand with any other brand, because we're talking about from the point of view of how a brand is its equity, or how a brand could be sold if hypothetically if we're selling the brand. If we sell the brand like Toyota or Kia, the brand value may not be as much as that compared to if you're selling a brand like BMW or Mercedes, something like that. So that's just one perspective to look at that. This is called a brand asset valuator model. There's some alternative models, and we'll be looking into those. This is another model. Feel free to raise questions. Okay, if you have any question, feel free to raise questions. Okay, so brand association, we can differentiate the brand from 3 different perspectives: brand association, brand predisposition, and the in-market value of the brand. So if we were to sum up the equity of a brand, we should not be looking to the financial aspect, but looking to these other 2 aspects: the brand's association and the brand's predisposition, how this brand is being considered. So now this model is based on system of brand association. Like, some brands we can see meaningful, different, and salient. So what is salient? Salient is something that is very subtle, like not immediately obvious. We cannot resonate immediately. And Apple would be a good example. Like when you consider the product and the name, that brand, there's some salient features, but it's not immediately we can recognize or identify, like, what is this one? But there's some other brands which are meaningful. Some brands, they provide some meaning. For instance, if we think about Bangladeshi brand like Pathao, there's a meaning of this brand. So they have selected this name with the thinking that Pathao means you're sending something from one place to another. So it's all about ride. This all about transporting from one thing to another. And some brands could be simply different. Like, they're just using some different, logo or some different blocks that makes them different. So you need to categorize your brand, that which out of these 3 our brand belongs to. So that's one way to look into your brand. The predisposition is, again, the association of your brand. How your brand is being associated. How is the the perception that you create inside your mind when you think about this brand. When you think about Nike or Under Armour, this is all about power and performance. When you think about car like BMW or Mercedes or Ferrari or Porsche, this relates with power. When it comes to watch, Rolex, it's like a premium. It's a premium quality. So some brands could be, they have some potential. I mean, there is no immediate relevance again, but there could be some potential association that you can make for some brands. If we consider brands like I'm just trying to think about brand. Can someone give me examples? So these are brands like where you don't have it will grow the value of the brand. Okay, so it's not premium as much as like the premium brands, but there is probability that the brand will grow the value over time.
Xiaomi.
Yes, we can use that. That there is a growing value of this brand, like Xiaomi or MI. I think MI is also there, another name, right? Xiaomi and MI.
So Micromax আমাদের দেশে একটা মোবাইল কোম্পানি ছিল নাকি?
Yes.
That is Indian.
Micromax, আমি Micromax এর নাম শুনি আসলে শুনি।
So these brands, they don't have any equity at the moment, but there is a potential that they can grow over a period of time. They do have some potential, but not readily at this moment. And the in-market value is actually how can you see the valuation of the brand in the market. So in terms of the dollar figure, okay? So what are the barriers and what are the facilitators that will take your brand towards that? So that's another way to analyze your brand. So we're just looking at alternative models of how do we do the valuation, or how do we do, like, how do we consider the equity of a brand?
তাড়াতাড়ি করে একটু অর্ডার দাও
I will just mute Tasnia Tahir. Tasnia, make sure to mute your microphone. The third one we're going to talk about is called brand resonance pyramid. And that's another one through which we can actually think about a brand's equity. When you want to create a brand, you want to create a strong brand equity, this is another model that you can use. So let's try to analyze this one as well. So on the far left-hand side, we have stages of brand development. Like, how are you developing the brand? On the right-hand side, we have brand objective at each stage. And in the middle, we have some other factors, which is slowly in a pyramid shape. And they are just getting from bottom to the top. So if you start with a brand first, is that who are you? That's your identity. So a brand should actually give you that answer. What are you? Next one. What about you? And what about you and me? So when it comes to the developing your brand, you need to think about that. What are these questions? So ask your brand that, okay, so this is your brand. Who exactly, or what product, or what exactly are you trying to offer? And your brand should also give consumers an identity of what are you, like, with the product, or what exactly are you selling. Now, keep in mind that when I'm talking about brand, I'm not just talking about the name itself or the logo itself. I'm talking about everything inclusive. It could be the color, it could be the slogan, it could be the trademark, everything that is used. Imagine if it's just like a restaurant, all right? And if they're using a logo which is not quite relevant with them, like, it does not give you the essence of, yes, it's a food, then it's going sideways, or it's sort of deviating from the track. Because if it's something like a food or something like a baby product, so your brand, the color you're using, or the logo that you're using, the trademark that you're using, the slogan you're using, it should give that understanding. Response, what about you? So on the right-hand side, as you can see, that there are the arrows, they also follow that these are some objectives that you need to set at each of these stages. And then finally, relationship. What about you and me? That means your brand with the other brands. What is the relationship? How are you different from other brands? If your brand is just like a same brand like the others, so where's that difference? So this is how you're creating that imagery. Like first you start with the salience, like some salient features, right? What's the meaning of salient in Bangla? Who can tell me? Anyone?
Sir, you meant salient
Yeah.
something. It's like, sir, it's always it's actually identical as distinctive. Like we say salient feature of this product or salient
Yeah,
feature
that's right.
value, something like that.
So it's the major aspect, right? Something that is very prominent, something. And then it starts with that. So something very prominent. Some brands, they could be performance and imagery. Some brands, they could be just judgment and feelings. But some brands, they're resonance. Like, you know, there's a strong resonance of that. So you need to consider that if your product could be something like, you know, some products, their brand, they are exactly at the initial stage. Like, you know, it just gives you a product. Yes, that's a product, but you cannot easily identify this brand when you create this brand at the beginning. So the initial choice for the brand elements or the identities making up, like, you know, your brand name, your URL, logo, you know, the website and everything. But eventually, slowly, you have to build that where you can, from 1, you go to number 4, and consumers can easily differentiate you. You can create that strong resonance of your brand, like Microsoft. Imagine how Microsoft started, right? Microsoft, when they started, like, you know, Microsoft logo, the brand and everything, it was, yes, we knew this was all with technology and all of those aspects, but eventually Microsoft had been able to bring that strong identity of their brand. Nowadays, we see Microsoft logo and it gives us that strong resonance, that how Microsoft. So your product should also speak with your brand as well, how you're developing. Google, for instance, like, you know, Google was a brand. Imagine when Google first started, how their logo was and how they have evolved their logo slowly and how it has created that imagery with their products, with their, like, you know, everything that they're offering. So the objective starts at the beginning, as you can see on the right hand side, deep, broad brand awareness. First, you just only want to create the brand awareness. Then you want to create your point of difference with other brands. Then you want to create some positive and accessible reactions. But finally, you need to create that intense loyalty. So whenever you see this brand, like, you know, if you go to a computer store, you see all the different brands like Microsoft, Acer, Toshiba, and all the other brands. But whenever you see a Microsoft branded laptop these days, Apple branded laptop these days, or Dell branded laptop, you know, these are the top quality ones, undoubtedly. And these are the building blocks that you create that strong resonance inside the consumer's mind. And that's really the key. Any question coming out from this discussion?
So what about the brand resonance?
So resonance is the, like, how do you actually resonate a brand with its product and its slogan and everything. So when you say the brand Apple and think different, we see there's a resonance of this slogan and the product, right? There's a resonance because everything that we have seen, the Apple products are always different than any other brand. So there's a strong resonance. Nike, the brand, when we see the brand and they have a slogan, what's Nike's slogan?
Just do it.
Just do it. And we see there's a strong resonance of this brand because they only endorse the top performer players in the world, all the top performers players, and that has become their building block.
Sir, is it work like signage?
Signage, what do you mean by signage?
Sir, whatever explanation you have given me, I actually found some similarity with signage. That's why.
Okay, no, but I want to know what's your understanding about signage. What do you mean by signage?
So it actually represents the sign of the company or any kind of organization, how it is simplifies.
Yeah, because the
The
term
signs.
signage could be a bit confusing because signage could also be used, like, in Bangladesh, I know some people, they also associate signage as signboards.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
yeah, but it's nothing to do with signboards. Like, signage means like, a signboard where you have your brand's, like, image and logo and everything. It has got nothing to do because that is only the representation. How are you representing your brand? It's nothing like that. Resonance is like the strong relevance. How do you associate the brand with its name, with its performance? So when you know that some brands, when you buy these brands, you know that rest assured it's the best quality product. When it comes to buying, like, when you go to the market, you want to buy watch, right? You know that there's cheap Chinese brand watch, but when I buy, I don't know, maybe Titan or Rolex or any Fast Track, other brands, I know that there's a strong resonance with quality. We can resonate this with quality. Some brands, we can resonate this with prestige. When you buy or you go to a restaurant, you go to any restaurant as opposed to you go to KFC, you see there's a resonance of quality food product inside KFC. So that is resonance, that with your name, what you promise, and you can create that resonance. Okay. Are you all on the same page? Are you all getting there, understanding what we're sharing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this question, Ravi will go ahead.
Sir, in this building blocks, all brands try to reach at the top from the beginning of its journey, or it's like it's a journey that after 5 or 4 years or 10 years, it will reach the resonance phase?
Good question, very good question. So it is the constant effort of brands to reach to the peak. And it takes time, like, a pyramid, you need to first form the base of the pyramid. And then slowly you put these building blocks one top, one after another. So first you create those salient or prominent features, and then slowly you just put all of these building blocks, and then on top, this is how it goes. So it's just like, it just grows and it takes time to get there. That's what this model is referring to.
So, sir, in this case, brands who are in the second block, lower second block, or in the lower block, they need to reposition themselves time to time to reach
Yes.
at the pyramid, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
Very well pointed out that brands slowly, they need to go to that level. Sometimes they need to rebrand, sometimes they need to reposition themselves. And you have seen that brands, they reposition themselves sometimes. The way they start at the beginning, but sometimes they will entirely change their branding. They will entirely change the color. They will entirely change their slogan. Use local example, like, Grameenphone in Bangladesh, when they started, we have seen like Grameenphone logo used to be like, we associated, yes, it's a Bangla map, Bangladesh map, the color and everything, if you can recall how they started. But slowly, eventually, they have changed, they have evolved. And there were like, reasons, because Telenor was the parent company which wanted to be more prominent. So they have adopted the same principle across all of the sister concern that they had, like in Pakistan, in other country, they have the venture of like, sister concern like Telenor. So they have like that, they have slowly, they change that. So these acts, sometimes these are called brand revitalization, or sometimes it's called brand reinforcement, rebranding. So you can change the color scheme, the branding, the logo, and everything. And this is an expensive exercise, but still you do that in order to take you to that peak of that resonance, where you have a solid building block and you're rising at the peak. And we have seen that Apple as well. Imagine Apple, where they started. If we see the evolution of Apple, how they evolved and where they ended up. Because the most important thing, so let's try to reflect on Apple. I might just use an image of Apple here. I want to know, like, what's your thought? What do you think? Let us use technology to the best of its advantage. So we're just going back to the slide. Sorry, add a new slide and then use this one. Okay. Apple evolution of their logo. Let's try to reflect. What was the driver of this evolution?
Simplicity and becoming more and more eco-friendly if you want to print your logo in a paper, because in the latest one, in 2017 one, it uses least amount of ink, I think.
Yeah, very close.
Sir,
Yeah.
I have different explanation. Like when I see that it's in 1998 to 2001, that transition, that was the time when the .com boom came out. Okay, and I think like Apple thought that now internet is available and website can be made, so why not we change our logo from black to like little bit white. And then when 2007 came, when the technology, like the technological companies are going to the American stock exchanges, they saw that the share prices are skyrocketing, and they saw, the shareholders saw that this brand has huge value. They again changed their logo in 2017. Logo means that the line in the Apple. And then in 2017, when I know that this for a reason, that Apple tried to give the manufacturing facility in China. And with in China they have very low cost, so people started to think like Apple is kind of taking more money than other brands. But Apple tried to reposition itself, like we are not taking more prices. It's like we are the premium bands, and then in 2017 they again changed their logo. It's something like that.
All right, look, I mean, I more or less agree with some part of it, maybe not all of it. But eventually, that one thing that we can sum up is that if you see the first one, actually, the one is here at the beginning, that just started like an Apple computer. And this is probably an image where like Newton is sitting under a tree. That was the logo. That was the first time that they started. And eventually, you know, color was like, you know, everything was becoming color. So they became colorful, like, you know, things were going from monochrome to from black and white to color. That's when they went there. But this evolution simply resonates with one thing, is simplicity. I think with the change of time, with the advancement of technology, and the most important thing about the biggest and the most successful brand is that exceedingly simple into their promise. The simplicity is the best, and more is less. These are the principle that they have used always. So you'll see the biggest brands, their logo, their branding and everything is the simplest. The way, like, you know, Facebook, I mean, it's just like simple as that. And this is the simplest thing that they have tried to do, be as simple as possible. That's how they have revitalized, rebranded their product in different times. There could be many other factors. Some of what you mentioned may or may not be right. We don't know exactly to what detail. We need to do a thorough research, but upon observation, we can say that the revitalization and eventually the aim is to, if we can recall that pyramid, is that the aim is to become like the strong resonance of your brand. Like, you know, you want to associate your brand in a way that it's exceedingly simple, it's different, and yet it's like, you know, giving back to what it has promised. All right, moving on. I'm just going to give a little bit break after this so that we get a bit of time to probably catch up. Or is it too, do you feel you need to have a break now? Maybe just, okay, maybe just let me just complete this one, and then after that, we'll just go for a quick break. I want to talk about brand portfolio, okay? So some brands, they have a portfolio of products. The brand portfolio is set of all brands and brand lines a particular firm offers for sale in a particular category or market segment. Some brands, they do have different types of product, and we are talking about multi-branded businesses. Some brands, they have multi-branded businesses, all right? So the basic principle is to maximize your market coverage so no potential customers are being ignored, but minimize brands overlap so brands are not competing for customers' approval. And there's some categories. So flankers or fighter brands are positioned with respect to competitors' brands so that more important and profitable flagship brands can retain their desired positioning. Okay. Again, keep in mind that we're talking about group of businesses which has many brands. So maybe you were talking about Boshundara Group. So maybe they have like different types of products under their belt. Some brands like, you know, maybe Samsung products. So Samsung, they have different types of products. And sometimes they're using different types of, like, you know, color scheme, different types of, like, you know, things. Like, you know, Apple, they have, like, you know, they have their iPad, they have their, you know, different types of products under their product line. So, 'cause, sometimes some brands, they sell products into a particular market segment. So it's your portfolio is the set of all the brands. So flankers are the ones that are typically positioned with respect to competitors' brands, so that the flagship brands can retain their desired positioning. Now, flankers are not your superstars. Like, they're not your superstars. These are more sort of, generic brands which are only surviving your brand amid of other competition. All right. If you have a multiple, like, let's say Unilever. So Unilever is a, like, big umbrella. But under Unilever, if we look into all the Unilever branded products, some of their brands are not that popular, but they're just there doing something. Yeah, let me get the example. Sorry. What's yeah, I want to use the example of Unilever. Okay, so Unilever, when we see Unilever as one big, gigantic corporation, and they have lots of other, these are all the different types of brands. Some are food products, some are cosmetic products, some are health, goods, some of them are soft drinks, some of them are ice creams, lots of different choices. So, and each of these, they represent separate type. So this is called the concept of brand portfolio. So you've got a brand line, like, you've got a line of product that's in there. But how do you differentiate from one to another? That's what we're looking at. So flankers are the ones which are known as fighter brands are positioned with respect to competitors' brands, so that more important and profitable flagship brands can retain their desired positioning. So they're not your superstar, they're just your regular products that are just there competing with other products. So just regular items in your categories that are only there and competing with similar products. Cash cows would be some brands may be kept around despite dwindling sales because they manage to maintain their profitability with virtually no market support. Companies, so cash cow brands are the ones that are bringing lots of cash, right? So they are a little better in terms of flankers. They're not your regular ones, but these are brands that are slightly performing better and leading to your increased brand equity, because this type of brand is selling better now in the market. Low-end entry level. The role of relatively low-price brand in the portfolio may be to attract customers to brand franchise. So again, these are again brands where there is a bit of low entry, level of entry is a bit low. Sorry, some people are still waiting on the queue. Yeah, I can see lots of movement today. People are just getting in and out from the class, and I can totally understand that power outage could be the issue for which some people are just getting in and out. So low-end entry level are your low-priced brand, okay? But the reason they're good because they're your low-price product. That means, that's why the entry level into that category is very high. Sorry, not high, because since it's low price, that means this is also getting you lots of money. The entry level is very low because the price is very low of the product. Yeah, I can't exactly use examples because in different countries, different brands will apply. Like, you know, when it comes to soup, like Knorr soup is quite popular in some countries, but it's like a regular brand. Pond's cream, or, you know, some things like that. These are relatively low in terms of its price. So their entry level is also very low because not other brands can easily get into that line because they have occupied that space so much because their prices are so low. But some brands you have, they are known as your high-end prestige ones. Their price is not low. They're high-end and they're prestige. The role of relatively high-priced brand often is to add prestige and credibility to the entire portfolio. Some of the products are really high. So why are we looking this? So imagine you are working in a brand which is as large as Unilever, or they have a portfolio of businesses. So then you have to put your brand into these four categories. So you have to categorize all of your product into these. Some of your brands could be very low priced and they sell well. They could be your cash cows. They could be your flankers, like, you know, competing with regular brands. But some of your brands will be very high end and prestigious ones. Now, this concept is really popular because most organizations these days are becoming a portfolio of businesses. So that's why this concept is really very popular as well. Okay, time to give a brain break because I've been shooting lots of information at your end. So we will be doing some reflective activity after the discussion. So I'm just giving 5 minutes brain break. Let's just pause here for 5 minutes. So the time is almost 8 o'clock at Bangladesh time, I believe, 5 minutes to 8. So we'll come back around 8 o'clock exactly at Bangladesh time. Okay, so 5 minutes break. Okay. So now we are just going back to the discussion of forms of branding. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So
Yes, sir.
when it comes to the brand, there could be various forms of branding as well, because the branding, obviously, it's an umbrella term, and that could be applied to various aspects. So corporate brand represents an entire company or organization. Okay, so when the branding is representation of the entire brand, that is called a corporate brand. So this is like one brand that represents everything within the category or within the product. So Apple products, iPad, iPhone, iPod, whatever, Mac, everything has the same logo. Walt Disney product, Walt Disney movie, whatever you call, they will have the same logo everywhere. This will not change from portfolio to portfolio, product to product. So that's called a corporate brand. So when marketers, they talk about changing their brand, they need to first think, are we going to change our corporate brand or any brand within our portfolio? Because the large, very large organizations, they are massive and they could have multiple portfolios or multiple brands within their belt. So they need to think about when they want to do like, rebranding or repositioning, they have to think about, are you doing it for the whole corporate brand or just one of the, brands within our portfolio? Product brand, on the other hand, is obviously represents a particular product of a company or organization. So this is specifically to a product. This is not the overall corporate brand. So iPhone, for instance, iPhone, that's just probably the logo. That's again the old logo of iPhone. Whenever an iProduct is, you'll still see the back of the iPhone. There's like, it's written like that. Harry Potter is like, it's a product. Harry Potter branded book or things like that. That brand value of Harry Potter is like, I think, few $1 billion Harry Potter brand as well. So product brand is specifically for one specific product of the organization. So depending on if it's like a brand with lots of portfolios, then one specific brand would be that. Again, going back to example of Toyota, if we go to Toyota, maybe Lexus is a separate brand. Toyota has other sub brands within its main brands, like Premio has a separate brand, Alien, or I think they've got lots of different brands within Toyota. So each of these, they have separate brands. So these are called product brand. Sometimes it could be like a store brand. The products retailers sell as their own brands. Okay. So this is like a store, like in an overall store, like Agora in Bangladesh. This is like a store and they have the product retailers sell as their own brands. Now within Agora, by the way, they do have lots of their own products that they sell. But still the store is they have this big name of their Agora. That's their store name. Sorry. It's almost 1 o'clock here, so excuse me if I yawn. So this is the forms, when it comes to the forms of branding, that you can think about the corporate brand, you can think about the product brand, or you can think about the store of your brand as well, if your business has specific stores. But if your business does not have any stores, then you don't have to worry about the store brand. Okay, a few other concepts before we just close. Brand extension is another concept. Let's just quickly understand these concepts as well. What is brand extension? Brand extension refers to the use of a successful brand name to launch a new or modified product or service in a new market. Let's see if someone can come up with any example.
Toyota, when they introduced Lexus.
Okay. Any other relatable example, maybe from Bangladesh market?
When Lifebuoy introduced what should I say? Lifebuoy introduced mini packs.
Was there any change in the logo?
No. Maybe it's not relevant. Sorry, sir.
All right. Anyone with any thoughts?
Maybe Google from search engine to email service.
Okay. So when an existing brand, they have already developed a image, like an image in the market, and they're already successful, they can think about getting to new or modified product or a service in a new market. Google's example we can use, like, Google now, they are starting their Google products into different names. Google phone, for instance, Pixel is becoming like a household name, Google Pixel. So that's a new introduction into their product line. Similarly, they're going into other areas like Amazon, massive, like, e-commerce business, but Amazon is going from one to another one. Like, Amazon is now heading into other trajectories, like, service-based businesses, cloud services, and things like that. So they can think about, now sometimes brand extension comes with a new logo, or it could be just like, the same logo that they're using, but it's the only thing is that they are just going to a new market. That's the thing. Then to think about what is the, like, the extension, what is the form of their extension?
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead.
recently Nissan has launched the fourth generation of X-Trail, their model.
Okay.
Is it, I mean, it can be called brand extension?
I don't think it's brand extension. This is a product differentiation. This is an example of product differentiation. So Nissan, they have lots of different types of vehicle within their brand name. And this is like differentiation of their products because they have different types of product. X-Trail is more of a performance SUV car. So that's what it is. But brand extension is more about a modified or a new product. Now, Nissan, if they recently, they thought that we will start to produce motorbikes. So Nissan motorbike is becoming like, it's a new thing. Or Nissan, they thought that how about we get into the smartphone industry, which is like entirely unusual to hear, but that could be an example of a brand extension. Okay.
ওয়ার্ল্ড ডিজনি যে হচ্ছে ডিজনিল্যান্ডটা বানিয়েছে বা ওদের যে আদার বিকল্পগুলো আছে দ্যাট কুড বি এক্সাম্পল অফ ব্র্যান্ড এক্সটেনশন
Yeah, that could be an example of extension. Yes,
Sir, if a brand start their operation in other country and launch a new product under a new name or under new brand logo, that could be a brand extension too.
Depends
This is
what you mean by
territory
new
mark.
product though. Okay, you have to be careful about when you say new product, because if it's like we are going to an extension of the brand into other, like a modified product, so it's not the same product. If you're using the same product but only in a renewed form, that is a differentiation but not extension of your brand.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead. Who else had a question or any?
Sir, is Hero Honda is a example of brand extension or product differentiation?
Hero Honda. I mean, they only have Honda, right? Like Hero Honda, do they have Hero car, or do they have Hero TV? Do they have Hero, like, anything else?
No, sir, it's more like a joint venture. It was launched in India.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, there's no problem in that. But all I'm saying is that to consider what you will say as, like, creating the same product or just modifying the product, that's differentiation. But extension is all about getting into a different trajectory or different area. That is what brand extension is.
Sir,
For
can
example,
you
the
share some-
Walton. Walton, they are the, yeah, for the example of the brand extension.
Yes, Walton could be a good example of brand
Yes, sir.
extension
Because
Walton,
they have the fridge, they have the TV, they have the many types of electric device they have. So
no,
in
but
this,
again, here's the thing, like these
yeah,
are all household appliances, right?
yes, sir, household, and we are just comforting to use this type of electric things. So all of the
Yeah.
things is a brand extension. Is a good example of the word, because they have the different criteria of the brand. They have the fridge, they have the uh, smartphone, they have the laptop, a different type of brand they have.
Yes, that's when Walton, because they started originally as a household appliances, but
Household
they've
appliance.
just gone into like creating technology oriented products like computers and smartphones, and it's being said, it's in a news that they're also going into the airlines industry as well. They're going to launch like Walton, like aviation services. So that's like an example of extension.
So put the all of the things. I just think the Walton is the good example of the brand extension.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Few other examples. Rebranding. What is rebranding? So rebranding is the updating or creation of a new name, term, symbol, design, or combination thereof for an established brand with the intention of developing a differentiated position in the mind of stakeholder and competitors. Any example?
So I have an example of the SMC.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's being acceptable or not, because we know that SMC is for us to the saline, saline or saline also. But when they just launching the product of the SMC juice like lemon or orange, it will be like the product differentiation and the rebranding themselves. And when they're just launching the product, it will be acceptable towards the customer also.
Yes, sir. The SMC rebrand itself, like it has become the first electrolyte drink in the market. Before that, it was the saline. So when it launched last year with small operation, people started to like it.
Yes,
So
and
the
people widely like that. And in this current situation, it's just stuck out at the market because the demand is being too high.
Okay. We can think about a relatable example of Facebook turning its name into Meta, right? I mean, that is like a rebranding entirely. Like they have transformed, they're trying to transform into something else, right? That's like one way. So it's updating or creation of new name or term or symbol, design, combination. So, and there are a variety of different objectives. Some of these are corporate strategic objectives. For instance, Facebook, although they have kept their original Facebook logo and name as it is, but they have started with a new name called Meta. Same with Google. Google is only a small part of the big brand that they have created called Alphabet. So Alphabet is like, the big and overarching, like, brand that they have selected. So rebranding, simply put, there could be lots of example, and arguably, like, to what extent they do carry those characteristics, but to some extent, or arguably the total, like the main feature of rebranding is to updating or creation of new name, term, symbol, and all with the intention of developing a differentiated position in the mind of the consumers or competitors or stakeholders. That's what the rebranding is. And we see that all of the brands, they do rebranding exercises many times, depending on their market positioning. Co-branding. is the practice of using multiple brand names to jointly promote or market a single product or service. Anyone with any example?
Sir, Pran RFL.
Okay, good one.
Pran RFL, like Pran was the brand of drinks, mango drinks, and RFL was a plastic producing company. So
Yeah.
they co-brand each other. Now, the Pran RFL is one of the prominent brand in Bangladesh.
Okay,
Yes,
very
sir.
good. So that's an example of co-branding, like two brands joining together and promoting or market a single product or service. Keep in mind, this is not two, but just one single product. So sometimes brands do this to gain a competitive advantage. So it's a win-win situation. To create a win-win situation, two brands can do it together. So it's one way to, make your enemies a friend. So you can just do it together. And it could be different industries, like, Pran and RFL, like, two different types of things. Any other example?
So I think Hero Honda was also an example of co-branding, but in 2018, they have separated and established themselves as a separate company.
But what was the other brand, I wonder?
One is Hero, which is an Indian company, and Honda is Japanese.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. Okay, that's a good one. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Right, my last topic today. This is my last topic. This is about brand strategy. So I didn't create many exciting slides for this one, just simple 3 points that we need to keep in mind. That when you want to create your brand, you need to devise a brand strategy. So first, brand strategy, often called is brand architecture. Okay, that's also another term, interchangeably used, reflects the number and nature of both common and distinctive brand elements. Deciding how to brand new products is especially critical. So 3 main choices. When you're creating about your brand strategy, 3 main choices. Develop new brand elements for the new product. So if you're coming up with something entirely new, something entirely unheard of, like entirely new, so you've got a simple choice. You develop a new brand element for the new product. Easy peasy, because it's a new product. It was not in the market before. The second choice is apply some existing brand elements. So you can apply some existing brand elements. If it's not a new product, apply some existing brand element as well. That's another choice for you. And the third strategy is you can do a combination of new and existing brand elements together. Now, it depends on what is your life cycle of the product is. So are you a product entirely launching a product into the market? So in that case, you simply have to use a new brand element, new product, choose the color, and we've talked about some of those. It could be a slogan, it could be a logo, it could be just a letter. I mean, these days we've seen brands are exceedingly simple. Previously, using specific graphics was really a trend in the previous days. Every brands, they used to create nice graphics with their letters and everything. But these days, brand names are exceedingly simple. They're trying to, because simplicity is the biggest winner, as many brands have realized. And that's why we see, if we take out the example of the top 3 brands in the world, their name is nothing but the simple name itself. Google, nothing fancy. There's no icon, there's nothing. Facebook, nothing, just F. Facebook, nothing else. apple, just an apple. So you can apply some existing brand elements into your product. And the third one is use a combination of new and existing brand elements. So you can choose among these three. Now, depending on what is your brands actually, or the product is, there could be a range of different factors. So those are factors we will be talking about in our coming classes as well. In our next week's class, we will be talking about new concept. So we'll be talking about product mix and new offerings. So then we'll be talking about how are you bringing new product into the market, and then how can you relate with your branding as well. So there's a concept we will be revealing in our coming week's class. Now, just wanted to remind you that we have our second quiz due soon. And the second quiz will cover the topic of this class and next week's class and the week after. So we'll be covering 3 chapters in total, and then we will have that quiz. So I'm not don't want me to get alarmed at this stage, because we still have next week. So next week we're going to discuss about another chapter, and then we will be talking more about quiz. But just be mindful of all the discussions that we had on the, I will be, as Nuhash mentioned at the beginning, that try to share my slides as possible, as early as possible. So I'll try to do that. I'll be sharing the slides with you as well. So hopefully tomorrow you'll receive everything. Sometimes it takes time to just get the Zoom recording downloaded and everything, and then upload it into YouTube. So that's the only thing that I just have to, sometimes it takes a bit of time for me, but I'll do that. Let's do some attendance towards the end now. I will be taking your attendance, and then we will just finish up our session today. All right, so Aisha.
Yes, sir. Present, sir. Sir, Aisha Siddiqa.
Yeah, sorry, Aisha Siddiqa. Fahmida Ahmed Monica.
Yes, sir.
Bushra Ahmed.
Present, sir.
Lamia Niza.
Present, sir.
Lamin Demba. Lamin Demba. Lamin was present for a while. Taslima Rahman Ria.
Present, sir.
Dewan Fahad Mahmood. Samina Ahmad.
Present, please.
Mohammad Nazmus Sadat Piash.
Yes, sir.
Zahid Fayaz Hussain.
Present, sir.
Onunna.
Yes, sir.
Khadija Al Tahira Chaudhry Raisa.
Present, teacher.
Ashfaq Mahmood. Itila Ahmed.
Yes, sir.
Suraj Kumar Agarwala.
Present, sir.
Mohammad Ahad Shahriar.
Present, sir.
Rabia Yasmin.
Present, sir.
Arshadul Haq.
Yes, sir.
Sheikh Tariqul Islam Omar. Nuhash Rahman.
Yes, sir.
Mohammad Israfil Hussain. Farhina Sharmin, Saim Chaudhary,
Yes, sir.
Fatima Ahmed,
Present, sir.
Ayasha Islam Tania,
Present, sir.
Zeban Alam Shorna,
Present, sir.
Mahmouda Sultan,
Present, sir.
Ruzneen Farhana.
Sir, she has the electricity issue.
Okay, all right. Thanks. Istiaq Ahmed,
Yes, sir.
Abe Fatimatu Zohra,
Yes, sir.
Aparna Dash,
Yes, sir.
Rabiul Islam,
Yes, sir.
Tonmoy Mishra, Podda Rani Malu, Tasnia Tahebria.
Present, sir.
Sakib Al Hassan,
Present, sir. Sorry, sir, I was late to join room number 4. So I was having some laptop hanging issue.
okay, all right, understandable. Anunna Rahman Khan,
Present, sir.
Sumaya Firdaus Islam, Yashwant Alvi,
Present, sir.
Mohammad Mahbub Rahman.
Present, sir.
Okay. All right. Have I missed anyone's name?
Yeah. Sorry, sir. I think you called my name. I went to receive my food.
Lamin Demba. Yes, I called you. I marked you as present. It's all right.
Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us towards the end of our today's class. So just a quick recap. We today talked about branding and how it helps for business growth. We came to the understanding that branding represents a distinctive symbol, name, a color, a trademark, or combination of all of these that helps an organization to differentiate its brand and product. Then we looked into some associated concept: brand image, brand awareness, brand equity, and brand loyalty. We looked into 3 alternative models of brand equity. Then we looked into brand portfolio. So we looked into large businesses which have multiple different products. They have a portfolio of businesses. So we looked into what are those 4 different choices. Then we looked into different forms of branding, like corporate branding, product branding, and store branding. We talked about some other concepts as well, like rebranding, co-branding, brand revitalization was also another concept that we talked about briefly, or repositioning is probably the easiest term to understand. And lastly, we talked about some strategies, simple strategies for branding, which helps an organization to position itself. So look, I will park it here today. Thanks very much. Hopefully I will be seeing you all in my next class, and as soon as possible, I'll be sharing the slide and also the lecture, which is all stored into the YouTube channel. So hopefully you'll find everything in there. All right. So till then, thank you so much. Have a nice and restful week. Hopefully the electricity problem solves in Bangladesh. Take care, stay healthy, and I'll see you all next week.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you very much. Good night. Take care.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Take care.
Assalamualaikum, sir. Take care.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam. Mahbub. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I will be shutting down. It's already too late here, so my eyes are getting red now. So take care, and I'll see you all next week. If you have
Yes,
got
sir.
any question, feel free to send me an email, and I'll be happy
স্যার
to.
আমি স্যার একটা মেইল পাঠাইছিলাম স্যার কয়দিন বিফোর দ্য মিট।
Yes, Istyak, what was that? Remind me again.
স্যার অ্যাকচুয়ালি স্যার আমি তখন স্যার জানতাম না যে মানে এক্সামটা স্যার অনলাইনে হবে। মানে ফার্স্ট অফ অল স্যার আপনি জিনিসটা বলছিলেন যে তার এক্সাম উইল বি ইন অফলাইন, বাট বিফোর দ্য ঈদ আই হ্যাড অ্যান অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট, my left leg, the iron piece is inside in my leg, so
Oh my God.
I have been at two operation on that time, and so I can be able to walk alone. So on that time I just emailed you about my situation and my current situation. So when I just see your mail, the exam will be held in online, then I just put myself all of my effort to attend the exam.
Okay. So yes, have you participated in the exam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I participated in the exam, and I just lie down in the bed, and my leg is in so much pain. So that I just lie down in the bed and read all of the things, and I just attend the exam as much as possible, and I just write it down, all of the things.
How did you get into the accident? I wonder.
Actually, sir, the accident is being happening before the Eid. The steel piece of iron just inside in my leg. I don't realize the pain. Before the Eid, I just jumped off the bus and just walking away of my home, and just I feel pain that something is inside in my leg. When I just go home and I just go to the doctor, he just said, confirm me there's some element in your leg. So I just go to the operation also. So when I just in operation, then the element is being founded, but the pain is not being cured. So I had a second operation, and some element is also inside in my leg too. So there is also an element just wipe out in my leg, and I confirmly to walk again slowly and slowly.
All right, look, I mean, my sympathies for you, so I'll take that matter into consideration. All right.
Yes, sir. I just on that time I just emailed you my doctor prescribed me on my leg condition.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, Istyak. I'll take that into consideration. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Okay. All right. Take care.
Take care, sir.